This area here on this boat is something that we're asked questions about on quite a regular basis. This boat is fitted with a pump out toilet, and people ask us how does that actually work? What is the process? Basically, it's quite straightforward really. You have two skin fittings here on the gunnel. It tends to be two skin fittings, but not necessarily two skin fittings. This one is clearly marked. You have one that says rinse out and one that says pump out. There is a holding tank inside the main cabin of the boat. In this one it is a steel tank that's integral and part of the actual boat's physical construction. They can be plastic tanks, or they can be like a vacuum system, depending on the make and model of the toilet. To talk about the pump out process, it's quite simple. You go to a pump out station, which are all over the canal system. There's one here that is run by our chandlery. You buy a token, typically between 12 and 15 pounds, and that enables you then to have access to what is basically a very large vacuum pump. You will get a hex tool to go in here to unscrew this, and this is tapered to accommodate a vacuum pump that is on the actual pump out station. You put your token in, you press the button just like you would a vacuum at a filling station when you're vacuuming your car out, for example, and it would then remove all the waste from the tank into a sewage storage point by the side of the actual pump out. Good practice is to use a rinse out when you're actually doing that. So halfway through or 3/4 of the way through the pumping process, you would pause the actual pump out system, undo this here, and put in there some rinse agent, which is commonly known as blue, which helps to flush the system out, break down the waste that's actually in that tank, and keep your tank in good order. Once you've done that, you can rinse it through with a bit of water, plug the vacuum back into this section here, but you must seal this. If you don't seal this, obviously you've got an open vacuum between these two areas here, and that basically the vacuum pump will just suck air rather than the waste that is actually in the tank. Once all the waste is pumped out of here, all you do is reseal the system and you're ready to go until the next time that you need to pump out. People always ask me the question, how often do you have to do that? The answer is it really depends on how often you use the loo. But typically a normal holding tank would last a couple of weeks, but obviously if you're using the facility more often than that, you would need to pump out more regularly than that. And when you get to know your own boat, part of the husbandry and maintenance of the boat, you will know what you and your family actually use the loo and how often you need to actually pump that out. That's an example of how you actually pump the boat out.